All right, everyone, let's read The Missus, chapter 24. It opens with Alessia in her classroom for, the snob school, and Tabitha, that new friend that she made, comes in and is like, oh, you went viral. And she's like, what? Yeah, I googled you last night after my dreadful faux pas, and look, this is what I found. She holds up her phone, and there's a video of Alessia playing the piano at Dimitri's party. It's an Instagram reel in the name of Grisha Eganov. And then the thing that he put in his little caption or whatever is Lady Alessia, Countess of Trevithick, beautiful and talented. I cannot wait for Maxim to see that and somehow blame Alessia for it being there, or being angry and jealous and possessive and her apologizing to him for making him feel that way. There's only two ways that this can go. And of course, that's exactly kind of, I think, what's going to happen. I've only just read up until the part where he finds out, but I haven't, obviously the person that tells him about it is Caroline. My phone buzzes. It's Caroline. Caro. Hi, have you seen that video of Alessia? What now? Video? No. She's on Grisha's Instagram. Well, I'd look at it, but I'm talking to you. What's she doing? Put her on speaker. You can still go look at it. I'll just mute the audio. What do you think she's doing? She's playing his grand piano. And don't worry, darling, that's not a euphemism. Caro cackles at her tasteless joke. And? I know about the piano playing. I was there! Exclamation point! So, yeah, their stepmom saw the video, or Caroline's stepmom saw the video and was like, hey, has Alessia applied to the Royal College of Music? And he's like, yeah, she applied. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm like, okay. I'm like in despair because I'm gonna have to caption this, so that means I'm gonna have to hear myself reading it, so I'm gonna have to read it twice. Alright? We have to be involved in this next part of the conversation. She says her mom wants to know what name that Alessia applied under at the Royal College of, or her stepmom, I'm sorry, the stepsow. You two are on speaking terms? She called. I thought Daddy might be ill or worse, so I took the call. But no, she wanted to talk about Alessia, and she was sounding me out about you DJing. Why? The demon spawn is 18 this year, and she wants a rave in the grounds at Horston. Sure, Horston. There's no W, so I guess it means that's where horses go, and not, like, if it was a W, it would be, like, where independent contractors of the sexy kind would go. Your little sister is 18? How the hell did that happen? Did you have it on your calendar? Were you gonna go fuck her? Stepsister, she snaps. And yes, Cordelia's of age to spread her demon spawnness. The world should tremble. Okay, so, I love that this is a fucking adult, like a fucking adult woman who has a little sister who is turning 18. Now, she is of a fucking age that she has been widowed, okay? Her 18-year-old sister, she gets jealous and snaps because he calls her the little sister? Like, what? I love the emotional immaturity of everyone in these books. I really do. Because, I mean, I know there are adults that act like this, but usually they end up on, like, daytime TV shows in the 90s. Caro, my DJ days are over, unless your stepmother gets Alessia into the school. In which case I might reconsider. It's the only way I can get her a visa without her returning to Albania. Ah, I see. No more spinning the decks for you. Caro sounds surprised. I don't have the time. Besides, the assholes who trafficked Alessia stole my decks, and I haven't found a minute to replace them. The guys that kidnapped Alessia stole his DJ equipment. It's like the equivalent to get his running gear before he went after her to rescue her. So he's basically like, yeah, I'll DJ your stepsister's 18th birthday party if it gets Alessia into the Royal College of Music. Here's the weird thing. I don't remember them saying that her getting into the Royal College of Music was the only way for her to stay in the country and get a visa and not return to Albania. Like, I assumed it just meant she needed to go to college. Like, any college. Like, surely she could apply to other colleges, right? It has to be the Royal... Never mind. Never mind. We're gonna use sitcom logic. Caro's momentarily silenced, but before I can say anything, she continues. I'll let her know, although the demon spawn will be terribly disappointed. You know she has a huge crush on you. Does she now? What the hell am I supposed to say to that? Carolyn sighs, and I'm not sure why. I know why. It's because you just sounded super interested in the fact that her now suddenly legal sister has a crush on him. And you're married to your young cleaning lady. That's what the sigh was about. So he watches the video. He watches it, like, it says, like, 4 times. And then while he's watching it, he sees something happen in the background. The 4th time, a movement in the background catches my eye. I grin, something to show my wife. So I'm sure he's gonna bring up the whole kiss at the party thing. It's gonna be on there. She's gonna be able to see that he didn't actually, you know, kiss Charlotte at the party or whatever, because we need to keep this drama alive. It should have already been wrapped up. It already was wrapped up, but we have to keep that drama alive because there's nothing else has arrived to replace it. The baby, let's have a baby thing showed up, and that conflict was resolved off the page. They came to an understanding that there was no tension whatsoever there. And then now she's gone viral and there's no tension there because everything is fine, I guess. I thought he would at least have seen the caption and, like, lost his fucking marbles. There's nothing has shown up yet that can replace the tension of him kissing Charlotte. So, I mean, except for now, the whole, like, he has to do the battle of the bands, so that she can go to school or college or something. You know, sitcom rules. Okay, so class gets out early and Alessia decides that she's gonna go off to see her great uncle that she recently found out about. She wants to go meet him. So she texts Maxim this. Hello, my lord. We finished today early. I am going out. Anyway, I cannot wait to get to Maxim's POV where he's like, out? Where? Where could she go out? Doesn't she know she could get kidnapped again? My heart pummels my chest in fear. It's on the way. It's like it's on the way. Alessia wants to see where her great uncle lives, maybe even meet him. During her lessons today, she'd written him a letter, and she hopes to post it through his door. Once they've made contact, she'll tell her husband that she's tracked him down, and only then. After all, Maxim didn't want her to contact the private detective, and she did. So, she doesn't feel like she can take this information to Maxim. She doesn't feel like, you know, when he's like, hey, come to me about stuff, she is actively hiding this. She doesn't feel like she can go to him, right? Then she gets text messages. Good afternoon, my lady. I love when you text me. Out where? Curious minds need to know. I'll come and join you if you wish. Oh no. Yeah, that oh no is in here. That wasn't me saying it. He does not want her to go anywhere on her own. He does not want her to be alone ever at any time. Like, this is preposterous. This is ridiculous. And just like I said, she tells him she's going to Q. And we go to the next page and it's a section break. What the hell is Alessia doing in Kew? The last time I was near that part of the world was when I drove out to Brentford after those arseholes showed up at my flat, and Alessia fled. You are your father's son, a knight in shining armour, a succor for a damsel in distress. Yeah, like those knights that stop and they take off their suit of armor and they put on their running gear and then they... So he sends her a text saying, what are you doing in Kew? And we go into her point of view. Alessia huffs. Her husband worries too much. She can tell by the brusque tone of his text. She thought she would reassure him by letting him know that she was going out, but it appears to have added to his anxiety. She texts back, "It is a surprise. Do not worry." And then like a sideways happy face. Alessia's text is moderately reassuring. For heaven's sake, Maxim, she's a grown woman. Exactly. She is a grown woman. Like, what? And then he texts back, okay, stay safe. Text when you're coming home. And not sure I like surprises with like one of those emojis that it's just lines for the eyes and a straight line for the mouth. Like this passive aggressive controlling, like, oh, not sure I like surprises. But she sees it as his sense of humor. Well, he has a shitty sense of humor. Alessia stares out the cab window and spots a mother pushing a stroller. She wonders what Maxim would be like if she was with child. He would probably be a great deal worse. With child? I honestly think that as E.L. James was writing this, she was imagining Alessia as a time traveler. Like, she was imagining Alessia as, like, from the Middle Ages. And now she's, like, in the future, and she's thinking of things like, with child. Maxim's child. She loves the idea. Just not yet. She was shocked when he mentioned it at the weekend, and she's glad he's eager for children, but the temptation to study at one of the best music schools in the country is too great a lure. Parenthood can wait. But if he insisted, she would capitulate. We know! You don't have to write down that if he insisted, she would capitulate, because this bitch folds like a chair every single time anything, like, he asks her, she could be making bread, and he'll be like, I want to take you out to dinner, and she'll be like, okay, and like abandons all the work that she's done. This is, like, my skull should not be throbbing when I'm reading a book. Like, yes, she could see herself doing this. Her parents would be thrilled, and so would Maxim. But he agreed to wait. He wants to show her some of the world, too. Yeah, so let's have a second here. Let's just have a little second, right? She's willing to give up going to the Royal College of Music to have a baby. If she doesn't get into the Royal College of Music, she has to go back to Albania, right? That's what's been set up. That's what's being said in this book. And there's all this stuff with her visa. What's the chances that the only way that Alessia is going to be able to stay in the country is if she has a baby? Like, is there an anchor baby thing type? That's offensive, but that's what people call it. That's like the offensive term for like when you immigrate to somewhere by having your baby there. Like, is there something like that in Great Britain? I feel like the racists in Great Britain would have, like, I would have heard more about it, like on Twitter or something, but I haven't been on there in a while. So, Tish Kavanagh calls. Hello, Tisha. Please, call me Maxim. Jesus, we've bumped uglies, for heaven's sake. I don't ever want to see bumped uglies on a page again, if it's not being used in like a sarcastic way. I don't want to see anything about bumping uglies. She's calling to tell him the good news. All of the marriage certificates are, you know, totally legal. Everything that they did in Albania made it a totally legal marriage. She's like, have you found a place for your wife to study? Because there's a lot of press, you know, you're in the press a lot. You realize that if the Home Office finds out Alessia was here illegally earlier this year, they could refuse her a family visa. And you may also be in trouble, as you breached immigration rules, given that she was working for you and didn't have the correct visa in place. So, that's going on. I've seen the video. She's very talented. I smile but shake my head. My wife has gone viral. We've already covered this. You already had the wife has gone viral, but never mind. She says that they need to be under the radar, so he's like, okay, maybe we'll go to Cornwall. Maybe we'll go to Cornwall and get pregnant and she can give up this whole idea. On the way to Q, she sees the road that she would take to go back to Magda's, where she lived before. And she starts reminiscing about living with Magda and her son, and like she's like, oh, they're doing well in Canada, and the son has a bunch, you know, has new friends and is learning how to skate, and he wants to be a hockey player like his new stepfather, and they all look really happy. And she's thinking about this like it's happened years ago. A big problem with the writing in this book is that it doesn't seem to, like, I feel like an event happens, we move on from that event, and then it's in this nebulous, floating sort of past. We don't have any idea what, we don't have the slightest clue when any of this stuff is happening, because remember, all of this, the going viral, the getting married, the going to the party, all of this immigration stuff, are we gonna have a baby? My brother isn't really my brother. This stuff is happening just like bam, 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 in a matter of weeks. Like, of course it feels like years and years ago for Alessia. It doesn't say that, but it's written as though it seems to be years and years ago. Of course it's going to feel that way in the text if so much stuff is happening at such a rapid pace and we are just squeezing all of it in. So she sees the house where her great uncle lives. She looks through the window. She sees there's a piano, and she's like, he plays piano too? And it's like, ma'am, we just found out that, wasn't he a professor at the freaking piano college? I don't understand. So she rings the doorbell and introduces herself as his great niece to the housekeeper. And so she's about to meet this long lost family member on her mother's side. She's going to meet this person. And so obviously what we do is we hop into Maxim's POV, and he has to make some phone calls. So while Alessia is about to meet a long lost relative that she has tracked down, we're gonna go ahead to Maxim's phone call with Tom. So Tom has an update on the trafficking. He hasn't found Blariana, but there are journalists looking into the case now, and there are 4 girls who have been found, and they're in the care of the Salvation Army. And so, but he doesn't know if any of them are Blariana because he hasn't spoken to them. I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that this great uncle is in the mind of E.L. James, portrayed by Donald Sutherland 15 years ago. This is the description. Seated at a desk in front of a laptop is a man with a full mane of blondish gray hair, an outrageously curled mustache, and a beard. He looks up with polite interest. His eyes are the same baby blue as her beloved Nana's, his mouth the same shape and creased from his readiness to smile. It is her grandmother in male form. The woman that answered the door says, hey, she says she's your great niece, and he's like, Alessia! So he knew about her, and he goes and he takes her hands, and he's all choked up. He doesn't know that his sister is dead. Like, he doesn't know that her grandmother has died. So they like cry together. My dear, you have quite undone me. My dear, dear sister. I wondered. I hadn't heard from her for a long while. I hoped. He takes a breath. Mrs. Smith, tea, please. Well, whatever. We don't need to hear about that part. He hasn't heard from a while from his sister, who lives in Albania. So he didn't know if she was alive or not. And this sort of like assumes that there is no way, no possible way of knowing whether your loved one is alive or dead in Albania. The letters might not be making it out. it's hard to communicate. All the phone lines are down. You know, like, that's not what it says. I'm being dramatic. It's dramatic effect, right? What I'm saying is, how did he lose track in this day and age? How did he lose track of his sister? And then he's like, I haven't heard from her in a while. He didn't call anybody. He didn't like call the police by where she lived. He didn't like look on the internet. He has a laptop. He could have searched like to see if she had, you know, but no, because Albania is this like completely isolated peasant village, he couldn't get a hold of her, and so he just didn't know if she was dead or not. Now, Alessia's mom has a smartphone. Alessia, his niece, has a smartphone. He didn't think to like call his niece, like, he's aware that Alessia is around, and so he knows that like his niece is around, but like he's aware of them, but he like didn't try to reach out to them. He just sat around not knowing if his sister was alive or dead, because, you know, I know I'm beating a dead horse. I'm beating the dead horse of the Albanian contact information thing, the way that E.L. James beats the dead horse of Maxim kissing Charlotte. Okay, I understand that, but I am just so frustrated. He notices that she's wearing her grandma's necklace, and he's like, is it hers? And he's like, I remember it. My parents were terribly religious. Ginny too. That's why she went to Albania, to spread the word during the communist era. Yeah, thanks for that previously on the Mrs. I don't think it was in the Mrs., it was in the Mr., but they explained that her grandma was there as a missionary. He explains that the reason he didn't have Ginny's address was because she wrote to him, but she didn't include her address because she thought that they were gonna come and drag her away because they didn't approve of her marriage. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what era this book is written in, because it's supposed to be modern day, but her grandma could have been dragged away. I am tired of thinking about this book more than the author did. Okay, we go into Maxim's POV. He's getting home. He walks in. It's deathly quiet. It's deathly quiet. And the unsettled anxiety I've felt since Alessia announced she was going out rears its ugly head. Alessia, I shout, just in case she's deep in a wardrobe or one of the bathrooms. But the flat has a ringing emptiness that I never noticed until Alessia moved in. Hell, we forgot to set the alarm. And she said she'd text. Scowling, I take out my phone and call, but it rings through to voicemail. Where are you, I ask, and hang up, blowing out a breath in frustration. Alessia can look after herself, can't she? So he then texts her after calling, you know, I'm kind of waiting here. Is he going to be like how he is with his mother? Is he going to be like, listen, bitch, call me? But instead, he does the passive-aggressive thing. He sends her a text and says, where are you? The flat is cold and lonely without you. This is a test. I am being tested. I will not break. You can build me up, you can tear me down, you can try, but I'm unbreakable. Okay? Okay. All right. The last line of the text, besides his signature, because they sign their texts. I forgot to mention that they sign their text messages. She signs it AXX and he signs it MX. They sign their text messages. I thought these people were supposed to be young, Erica. Anyway, they sign their text messages. And then, but the last thing he says is, the flat is cold and lonely without you. And then, also, I'm hungry. That isn't helping my mood. he does the passive aggressive thing. He wants her to come home, so he's like, I'm lonely. And then he's like, and I'm hungry. Oh my God. The one time she's not there to feed him. Oh my God. So he thinks instead of like getting something to eat, he's gonna go for a run. So he goes and gets his running gear because, you know, he's just like, you know, I'm afraid my wife might be in danger. I better get in a quick run. Like that's always his like first fucking instinct, right? Alessia's uncle has synesthesia too, but he has, I'm sorry, I have a lisp and a stutter, and that word is terrifying. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm practicing it. All right. I can't do it. Okay. All right. If Joseph Robinette Biden can get through the State of the Union address with Marjorie Taylor Greene shrieking and looking like a human fucking ketchup bottle, which had to be so distracting, I can say this word. I can overcome my stutter and my lisp, and I can say this word. It'll come out. Hang on. Chromesthesia. Is that right? It's the CHR. It's getting. Anyway, back to this. Yeah, I can't do it. I'm gonna cut like 3 minutes of me just stuttering. No, never mind. So it's specific to color. It's the color kind of synesthesia. It's the color kind of synesthesia. I can't do any more words. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm done with words. So they find out that they both have this thing and they both play piano, and he's like, oh, let's play something together. And then there's a section break and she's leaving. So rather than she's meeting this new relative for the first time, they both have the same incredibly difficult to pronounce neurological condition. They both play the same instrument. They're going to play together. She's going to have this moment of bonding with her family. He asks her to play something with him, and then it skips and she's getting into an Uber. She goes to text Maxim and her phone is dead. So he comes back from his run. The first time he comes home, he's like, honey, I'm home. And now he comes back from his run and he's like, honey, I'm home. Okay. By 7 p.m., I'm climbing the walls. I've left more messages, but received no word from my wife. There's no one I can call, nothing I can do. I'm powerless. I hate not knowing where or how she is. I pace the drawing room, and every time I pass the double doors that open onto the hallway, I glance at the front door, willing Alessia to appear. I, period, am, period, going, period, crazy, period, hell, period. And so then he starts thinking about his mom and how she'll probably never see her again. He's never going to end up seeing his mom again. And he thinks about, like, he needs to text his mom, so he texts her. I've already lost another family member this week. Was that the last I'll ever see of her? And as much as Rowena annoys the hell out of me, that thought is depressing. She's my mother. Mama. Fuck. How do we come back from this? I shake off the bleak feeling and text her. We need to discuss Kit's memorial service. When you're over your snit, perhaps you can give me a call. And I want to add, you faithless whore, but I don't. She's my mother. He's worried. How will me and my mom ever come back from this? How? How will we ever mend our problems? How will we ever? How? I better send her an aggressive text about how she's in a snit and then just barely hold myself back from calling her a whore. Yeah, no, it sounds like things are going to go great for you. It sounds like it's going to be super. It sounds like you got this. Next, I text my absent wife. Again. I'm going crazy here. And he puts an exclamation point on it. Call me, period. Please, period. M. Because, you know, they sign their texts. So Alessia comes in. She comes in, and she looks fine, and she smiles at him. My relief and anger seize the day in equal measure. Thank fuck she's safe. But as she steps into the hall, the anger triumphs, and my cry echoes off the walls. Where the fuck have you been? Yeah, so there's Prince Charming, right there. She went somewhere, her phone died, where the fuck have you been? She's not allowed to leave, she's not allowed to go places. She is not allowed to be anywhere. He tried to go with her already once. He tried to ask to go with her. She shot it down. And now he's angry because he didn't know where she was. I get it, she was kidnapped once. I get it. I understand that. But this is abuse. This is abuse. She told him where she was going. And she told him she would text him when she was on the way back. She did not tell him she would text him by a certain time. He made up the deadline in his mind. He made up the time that she was going to come back in his mind. And when she was not back by that time, when she comes in the house, he is screaming at her. Because she did not get home by a curfew that he set and did not tell her about. And because she did not jump. And let me tell you, when we are moving into that straight from him talking about, like, sending his mom a mean text message after lamenting the fact that, oh, they'll probably never have a good relationship again. When we go from him thinking that he wants to call his mom a whore but just barely holds back, to her coming home and him screaming at her because she missed this deadline that she didn't realize existed, that does not look good. And the thing that, in the Mister, I was like, well, at least he's not abusive like Christian. I did say I could see it going that way. I did say, watch, he's gonna, in 5 years in the future, she's gonna have security on her everywhere, and he's gonna use this as an excuse or something like that. I mean, I did say in my recaps of the Mister that the potential was there for him to become a creepy and abusive guy. And boy howdy did he. I mean, like, it has happened so fast. And the thing is that I'm going to say that, and there are going to be people who, if I pointed that out to them, they would be like, no, he just cares about her. He just wants her to be safe. He just wants to protect her. Because they don't realize that restriction of movement and restriction of privacy. She has no privacy to go somewhere and not tell him about it. All of these things are abuse. They are components of abuse. So I'll let you just sit on that one until, I won't be doing a video next week because I will be having surgery. And that's enough pain. I feel like if somebody's gonna cut, holes in my torso, then I probably don't have to torture myself further. Like, comment, subscribe, check the description box for all the other places that you can find me, and we will read the next chapter, which will definitely not be infuriating when I am hale and hearty once more. All right, and I'll catch you on the flip side.